Man in Full, available next week, starting Thursday, May 2nd, only on Netflix. 6-episode limited series on the late Tom Wolfe novel. Jeff Daniels starring in a fantastic cast. Also, 3 episodes directed by one of our favorites, Regina King, as well. And that was fun, just to watch that.
The whole thing was fun.
You were laughing during that, just watching yourself.
Because I remember the day. We had Tom Pelfrey, who was there, and Bill Camp, who I've known forever. And it was just the 3 of us. And I said to the guys, I said, I'm going big. I'm going out on a limb with this. Don't leave me out there. And they went with me. And it was great fun. It was great fun.
So I'll be straight up with you. I mean, I had not thought of A Man in Full in a while. I mean, I read it a long time ago. So how did this come about for A Man in Full to be put in Netflix and in front of you?
David E. Kelly wrote all 6 episodes. And
I've heard of him.
Regina yes. King was directing along with Tommy Schlamme. And so right there you got the people.
Yeah.
And they came to me and said, we're doing this. I was unaware of the book, so once I said yes, I grabbed it and read it. It's relevant to today. Charlie Croker, who is a bigger-than-life real estate tycoon in Atlanta, this is in the late 90s, but we've kind of updated it to now, basically builds buildings on the bank's money. And he owes about $800 million in loans and things like that. But he keeps buying a private plane and buying a quail plantation and spending way too much money on other things. And the bank basically, which is what the season, part of that scene was they call him in. They go, we're calling the note. You owe $800 million by Tuesday. Ooh. And so then that over the 6 episodes we find, Charlie just scrambling to, justify the fact that he's worth as much as people think he is, which is relevant
story,
to today.
Making a note and stuff like that.
Just generally speaking.
Ripped straight from the headlines in a way. And so, again, that's on Netflix, which is available right here on Roku. Jeff Daniels here in studio. And for full disclosure, you're here in town doing some work, and you have to stay in town this week because originally we were slated to have you on our show in Detroit.
Which I was really looking forward to.
I mean, we were as well because, I mean, an NFL draft in Detroit, Michigan, as the Lions are seemingly a rocket ship. I wouldn't say cresting because that would mean that there's maybe no higher peak than the one that they currently have. But it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Detroit, first of all, Detroit is so cranked for the draft. They are rolling out the red carpet. They are beautifying the city. Everybody's going to be there. I got a son-in-law, and my boys are going, we should go down for the draft, go down and just experience it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a great thing for the city. Detroit is a football town. At the end of the day, I mean, the Tigers, the Red Wings, the Pistons, yes, but the Lions, and you saw it last year, the frenzy around the Lions' success and that build up to getting into the playoffs and then going into the playoffs a little deeper. I mean, we were out of our minds. And I know Sheila Hamp a little bit, and I said, when you guys get there, it's going to be unlike anything that any of the other teams have done. It's going to overtake us because it's a football city at the end of the day,
well,
I think.
The roar has been restored. I think we can at least say that at this point in time.
Campbell and Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and what Sheila has done, they have really just turned that organization upside down over the last 3 years. And the success they had last year was, I think, a year earlier than they thought. But they are on a long-range plan of being one of those teams that stays good, just doesn't have a year and then they're gone. I mean, that's what I see, is that they are really trying to, be good for 5 or longer years.
Well, I mean, it's kind of fitting that a draft is in Detroit based on what you just said, Jeff, because the year early, I think, arrived because of how well they drafted last year. And Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell and that
I can still
tight
hear the
end.
people screaming about Gibbs. I can still hear them screaming. You did what?
I know.
You did what?
And apparently they beat several teams to the punch on drafting him.
Yeah.
That there were a couple others that were just like,
Really?
okay, he's going to drop. He's going to drop because everybody's talking about Bijan Robinson, and he's going to just fall to us. And the Lions beat a ton of teams to the punch, and he is just unbelievable.
I
terrific.
watched. I was at the last playoff game, the Tampa Bay game, and I was watching, and they got it out to Gibbs in the flat, and this happened. He got it, and shoom, he was over here. Mm-hmm. He was 10 yards, just that quickness of speed, and the defender was waving.
Gone.
And he was certainly in a defensive position to get him, and then he was over there. Mm-hmm. It was something, that kind of speed and quickness.
So how loud was it in that building? Because that's all everyone was talking about is how crazy it was in Ford Field for these playoff games.
It's been loud, but in the Tampa Bay game, the game we won before we went to San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
that last minute and a half, Baker Mayfield had the ball on his 15 or something, made a completion, okay, and then he threw the interception. Was it Blades, I think? Made the interception that basically sealed it for us. When he caught it, it was like a movie. On cue, I want all 65,000 of you to scream the word, yeah, that. And I was actually had my phone. And I was going, well, this will be fun. I'll put it on voice memo and just record the last 2 minutes audio just for me.
Yeah.
And when that happened, it was as if someone had cued the entire stadium to say that word, go.
Yeah.
And it just, you felt the roof lift. It was so, and it was, you've heard people scream and generically and a whole bunch of things, but the one same word, 65,000 people, that happened.
It's better. It's probably better than the word that you used to say in unison in that stadium, right? Or
Yes.
all those years in the Silverdome.
I've heard that too.
I'm sure it was 65,000 all at once.
Yeah.
Or probably 80,000. Or probably 8.
Yeah.
I remember some of those days in
it
the
was
Silverdome.
a lot of decades where that was the lead word.
Which is why everybody was just sort of exhaling at the same time last year. I think it was Derek Barnes who was the one who came up with that pick because he's the one who whiffed on Dak Prescott in that Dallas Cowboy game
Yes.
that everybody thought was the one that screwed the Lions out of their best
Yes.
chance to get to where they eventually wound up.
He atoned. He redeemed himself. Right. Totally redeem yourself. I mean, he did. He did it. He did it. So still there. Still there.
That's amazing.
Jeff Daniels here giving the people what they want on the Rich Eisen Show. Greatly appreciate that. Yeah. And so what is it like, though, watching Dan Campbell make some of these decisions?
Well, it's what got us there. Going for it on fourth down.
Right.
And you're not going to hit them all.
But he's always at Spinal Tap 11 here. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, he is.
we could find a different volume. You know what I mean?
is.
Like, you could dial it down to 9.
I
you know?
I know. I don't know enough about football to know what the percentages are of going for it now.
Right.
But, I mean, we're all just, when he's going, and he's going for it, and you're up off the couch and you're walking, and you're doing this. You're doing all that. But look, he's dangerous. If you're the opposing team, the opposing coach, he's dangerous. And other coaches have followed that. I come up in the era on fourth down going for it. No.
Never.
Ever.
Now everybody does it. It's
Now
kind of crazy.
And I think Dan's kind of, led the way on that.
Well, he did it in the opener in Kansas City in his own end, I believe, on like the second possession of the season.
Yes.
In Mahomes' house. They just raised the banner.
Yes.
So there is a track record. Understood.
Yeah.
But it's got to be just cool just seeing the team the way it is right now,
I'm so hopeful. When they went to San Francisco, my theory is at halftime, if they had been, I think they were up 10, 14.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If they had been tied or down 3 or down 7, they'd have stayed there. But I think they came out of the locker room, and that's when they realized they're 30 minutes away from the Super Bowl. And it's not fear of failure. I thought it was fear of success.
You think so, huh?
Yeah. I mean, look. They immediately tightened up, and next thing you know, we're tied. And
that play where it got popped up. I think that was Blades, right? The one was popped up in the air and went right to Ayuk.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a photograph.
Where's that in the playbook? I don't see that.
There's a photograph that we had. I don't know if we we'll try to call it up, where the ball was actually surrounded in the arms of the Lions defender, and it's mind blowing that winds up in the arms of Ayuk. Not to go down that rabbit hole.
Those are the players that
it was Vildor. That's right. I mean, like, I don't know how that doesn't hand. That's the moment.
There's all of that, but yeah. I don't think it's like, oh, and then we're crushed, and now we're just going to be a mediocre team. I think the guys had to go through that.
Right.
And now when they get there again, it's not going to be the first time or even the second time. It's going to be, we know how to handle it now. It's like Broadway. When you have an opening night and it's your first one, it's the Super Bowl. It's the stage actor's Super Bowl. And you try to survive it. And you know that all the critics are out there and all the whatever are out there. And you get through it. And then the second opening night on a different production, keep up. It is. You keep up with me.
And now
that's the second one. You can't do it on the first one.
Right.
But the second one, I'm hopeful that Campbell and company and the players in particular, they're young, will go, we've been here before. We're not going to let it slip away again. Mm-hmm. That's, I'm a Lions fan. That's what you hope for.
Well, I got Jeff Daniels here on the Rich Eisen Show again. A Man in Full, available for streaming next week on Netflix, 6-episode limited series. So one of the things I love about the draft traveling is you go to different towns, and when the rivals of the local town gets put on the clock, there's booze. Now, back in the day when it was in Radio City, the Jets or the Giants or the hometown, so when the Eagles run the clock, the Cowboys run the clock, lusty booze. Which team, when they go on the clock in Detroit, will get the loudest booze, do you think? Jeff Daniels, what do you think?
Certainly everybody in our division.
But which one do you think will have the brio, the particular brio from the crowd
now? Which
here?
one is the threat? I mean, the Vikings are. Do they have a quarterback?
They have Sam Darnold again, but I'm with you.
Outstanding. Do they have? The Bears? We're giving up on Justin Fields. We're going to draft a rookie, and so they're. Are they really? Who else is in our
Packers?
And the Packers. I think it's the Packers, not just because of Aaron Rodgers, whom we beat on his way out of town a couple seasons ago.
Yes,
Thanks. Enjoy the Jets. See you later. But Jordan loves playing, and I think they're
ruined your Thanksgiving, and it's so close to playing them in the playoffs too.
Yeah.
So
I
close.
think that's the rivalry, but just because the Packers feel like the team that's closer to having turned it around post Aaron Rodgers and are going to be a factor next year. So I'm going to say Packers.
Packers on the clock. That'll be the loudest.
Yeah, you won't be able to hear them announce whoever the hell they're picking because we don't care at the end of the day anyway.
I love it, man. Fantastic. So I've asked you this before, but I'll ask it again because it's the first time that you're here in studio. When you walk around and people see you, which is the movie or play or anything that you get from
it depends on the person.
Okay.
Certainly, Dumb and Dumber is a big hit.
Okay.
Internationally, and pick an airport. Oh my God, Dumb and Dumber! Oh my God, yeah. And there's Newsroom, and there's Gettysburg, and
Sure.
you get those people. Because of Winn-Dixie, which is a little family movie that I. Was very happy to get paid for.
Sure.
Was going, Winn-Dixie was, my God, I grew up on that. I'm going, okay.
How about Speed?
Speed, yeah.
Did you get that a little bit?
A little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I was the guy back in the office, going, speed. I remember getting the script, and they said, and I died on page 22. I died in the elevator shaft.
Oh.
And I said, the career's in trouble, but it's not in that much trouble. I'm going to pass. So, and the agent said, hang on, there's another draft coming. You die later. I said, okay. And it did. It came in about, page 80.
So you gained 60-something pages.
I did.
Okay.
I'm going, well, okay, all right, I'll do it. And Keanu and Sandy Bullock, and, it was like, okay, happy to do it. And I get into that house, and we're in somewhere near here, I think, somewhere south of L.A., and I've got full SWAT gear on.
Yeah.
It's like 80 pounds of whatever, and I got to crawl in through a little window and look like Harrison Ford doing it, and I'm like catching on the window frame and all that. I finally get in, and the moment in Speed is I've got to turn and look at the thermostat and understand that that's not a thermostat, that's a timer for a bomb, and it's 3, 2, 1, and about to blow up. And so I'm going, how am I going to do that? I'm not going to... Do I make faces? Do I, what do I cry? What do I do? And I remembered an interview that Roy Scheider did for Jaws. And they asked Roy, that moment, Roy, when you saw the shark, my God, I mean, one of the great acting moments in cinematic history. How did you do that? And Roy said, well, I looked down, and when I looked over at the shark, I made sure my cheeks muscles were a little up, and then I just dropped them. So I said, that's what I'll do. So I looked at the thermostat. Cut! Lunch.
Lunch.
And I have gotten critics. That moment in Speed. Jeff? I mean, I get emotional talking about it. And I'm going, yes. Yeah, well, Roy Scheider.
I love that story.
Great story.
Oh, my gosh. And it's funny you say that it was right around here because the 105's right up.
It was somewhere, some little house that they rented.
Because the 105 freeway was it wasn't completed yet. And that's when, right here, this freeway that's right here.
Yeah, it was
that was the one that was
around
used in Speed.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. And Jack Nicholson just turned 87 yesterday, by the way.
God bless that man.
Did you have any interaction with him on the set of Terms of Endearment?
A little bit, yeah. He was so nice to me. When we did Terms of Endearment, we got Jack, and that legitimized the whole movie. And I remember on the set and being the last actor to walk over and meet him. Deborah said, have you met Jack? No, I'm 28 years old. I don't know anything. He goes, come here. And she dragged me over, and she said, Jack. Jack said, what have you done? Well, I've done some Broadway, some off-Broadway, and, and he was very kind. He said, well, this ain't Broadway. This is the pro game.
No, he didn't say that.
Yeah. And thank you. What would you like in your coffee? And so but he was right in that the money involved, that can happen. When they put the camera on you at 4 a.m. and it's your speech and we're losing light, you got to hit it. All of that. That was the great, you don't get 8 shows a week to refine it and all that. It's now. So that made sense. Decades later, I'm doing God of Carnage, which was a play on Broadway with James Gandolfini and Hope Davis, Marcia Gay Harden. We were the hit of New York. And Jack came.
Huh.
And he came backstage and he said, I can't do what you guys are doing.
Really?
Yeah, which was a very humble thing for him to say. And I thanked him for coming and all of that. And then we did God of Carnage again out in L.A. about a year or so later at the Amon-Ra Theater. And same cast, and he came again. And he came backstage, and we talked a little bit, and then he was leaving, and he turned around, and he said, I'm proud of you, and left.
Come on.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That had to really hit home.
I think, and I had done interviews where I said, this is the pro game. I had told that story. But Jack coming back and saying, to me, meant the world. It's the review you hope to get from somebody that actually matters.
Jack?
Yeah.
One of the few people you say his first name, you know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Jeff Daniels, you're the man. Thanks for coming here today. Congrats in advance of A Man in Full. Again, check it out starting next week right here on the Roku platform through Netflix. 6-episode limited series. Diane Lane, Tom Pelfrey, who's been here as well. He's awesome. Lucy Liu, just to name some in the cast. Regina King directing. David E. Kelly, showrunner and the writer and the executive producer. Thomas Schlamme also directing. Congrats, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks again. What a great opportunity to have you here. And I will say hello to Detroit for you.
Enjoy Detroit. They're waiting for you.
Are your family members going to go to the draft? Are they going to do that?
I believe there's talk, yeah.
Okay, there's chatter?
They just chatter at this point, but they might.
Very good. Well, if they, well, we'll talk about it. But hope to see them and
Free
great to have
parking?
you.
You can get them parking?
No, that's Monopoly, sir.
Okay. All right.
This is the national football. This is the pro game.
I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah.
Jeff Daniels, check out again A Man in Full on Netflix. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern for free.